Okay. All right. We're here. We're here. And today we are going to talk about the very beginning of Anna. Oh, I wanted to show you guys. Hold on a second. Here, plug my laptop in. I wanted to show you guys a picture for anyone who hasn't seen it of her ultrasound from when she was diagnosed with arthrogryposis. And I also wanted to show you all her picture of her when she was born. And so I'll probably find those real quick before we get started, since you guys are currently looking at ads, thank goodness. If you're wondering why we're over on YouTube today instead of back over on, sorry, I have a hair attacking me. If you're wondering why we're on YouTube today instead of back over on Facebook again, it's because if you're in our community space, you would have seen a post that I put up a little while ago showing everyone that despite the reach of something like 36,000 viewers, our live stream we did yesterday made $0. And so it's just time to jump ship. We started this move back in January. I kind of thought maybe we could just do the live. We knew we weren't getting paid for lives, but at least we would get some ad revenue after the live. And it looks like that's no longer the case, which I have been hearing from other content creators and influencers as well. So Facebook, unfortunately, if you remain over there, you're only going to see some reels, some short videos, and some picture posts once in a while. We can not do live streams over there anymore. But I am going to play with going live here and this month posting the links over there. My concern is that it will throttle the page and no one will see that post in order to get to the link, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. Let me see. I need to find the picture. I don't know how many of you have ever seen a photograph of Anna when she was first born, and how many of you know what her body looked like at birth, and then how many of you have seen the picture of her ultrasound from when she was diagnosed at 18 weeks gestation. I think probably many of you have by now, but we do have some new people. All right, let's see. I'm looking for ultrasound. There it is. Oh gosh, look at that baby. I'm going to save that one so I can show you guys.
To me, it kind of just looks like a giant gray and white blob.
Yeah. If you don't know what you're looking at, I can see how it would be hard to tell what's going on. And this is the famous one. This one really shows it well. And then here is your birth photo. I'll save that and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so let's go back to you guys. A lot of people ask, and even yesterday on the live, we're asking, how does someone get arthrogryposis? How does it happen? And so I think it's interesting. I always like to go back and tell what I've learned from the doctors about how that happens. From what I've been told, it occurs between 8 and 11 weeks gestation. So if you think about it, most women find out they're pregnant somewhere around 8 weeks gestation, right? Like, so maybe 8, 9, 10 weeks. So basically it happens in utero before a lot of women even know they're pregnant. So it's not like something you can find out ahead of time and do anything about, like many other conditions or issues that occur in utero. However, they do tell you some things while you're pregnant. I remember the doctors telling Mama, Anna's birth mother, to drink more coffee
Why?
It's like the opposite of what they often tell women when they're pregnant, but I guess the idea is if you drink more caffeine, it will make the baby move around more, and they're hoping that that movement will get into the joints and limbs and make a difference in how much they can move around when they're born. They won't be quite so stiff, I guess, is the hypothesis. I don't know that there's any proof that that works, but that's what they told her to do. So we found out at 18 weeks gestation. Here, I'll show you the ultrasound. Hold on one second. Share screen. We went into the ultrasound thinking, we were going to find out what if she was a boy or a girl. That was like the primary purpose of this ultrasound as far as we were concerned. Of course, they want to check on measurements and everything. And because she had had an ultrasound prior to this one, they were able to look at the difference in the measurements and the movement and the positioning. And that's how they realized that there was something going on, because there wasn't enough of a difference in the positioning and the movements. But you can see here, so actually, hold on one second. This is a later ultrasound. Let me show you this other one first. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. This is the one here that they actually diagnosed her from. Would have been this one. So you can see, you can't really see too much here other than like a head and a body and some stuff, but they know what they're doing and they take all the measurements. And so they did that and came back and said, there's a problem, like there's an issue, that the child has not moved as much as we thought. The limbs are in a very particular type of position that we're familiar with, and it looks like she has arthrogryposis. And I was like, she has what? Can you please write that down for me? Because obviously hardly anyone's heard of it. So let's put this one back up again. You can see this is 25 weeks. So this was the next ultrasound that they did. And this was a better ultrasound machine, because once they found out her diagnosis, they sent mom to a high-risk pregnancy clinic where they have better machines and they do more fetal, maternal care. Like they bring you in more frequently to check on things. And so this was like 25 weeks. And yes, you can see her little wrists. You can see these here are her finger digits. And those bumps right there are her little club wrists. And you can see them in utero. Her legs would have been stuck in flexion. Her feet would have been turned up. You can see her little face there. But that's what she looked like in utero. And as you can see, her hands still look much the same today. And we can talk about that on a later live stream about the possibilities and the prognosis for upper limbs, upper extremities with arthrogryposis. But so we found out in utero. And of course, a lot of doctors don't know the prognosis for these children. All they see is the part where they're in utero. So their understanding of the possibilities are that this child is going to be born with a severe disability, have a severely impacted quality of life, and they still, offer mothers and parents the option to terminate the pregnancy because of that. They don't know, because they don't experience what these children turn into years later, how much of a quality of life many of them, most of them, can have. And so that's a sad part of the fetal medicine doctor's perspective of things, that there is another organization, big nonprofit organization called AMCSI. They are like the primary nonprofit organization for arthrogryposis. They've been around almost 15 years, I think. Maybe it has been 15 now. And one of the things that they've attempted to do in like the last 10 years, I think, is educate medical professionals and try to get information into the hands of these ultrasound techs and these doctors who are making these diagnoses in utero, so that they understand this is not something that needs to result in a pregnancy termination. This is, the child does have the potential, because they really scare moms. Still today, we have moms show up in the moms group very frequently and say, I am really scared. I just found out my child has this condition, and the doctor said they're never going to walk, they're never going to eat, they're never going to dress themselves, they're never going to, they may not be able to breathe on their own, they may not live an hour past delivery. Like, they really paint a scary picture. And so people don't know. Thank you, Sharon, for the super sticker. People don't know what to expect. And so it's only those parents that have the wherewithal to reach out and seek information and seek the support group. They're the only ones who get to find out from us other parents that no, it can totally be okay. And in a lot of cases it is, because the most common type of arthrogryposis is type A myoplasma that Anna has. And so there's, the limbs have some difficulties upon birth. Thank you, Karen, for the super sticker. And they are born, with a disability, and it is a lifelong disability. It cannot be cured, but there's a lot that can be done, obviously, treatment wise, to give them a fantastic quality of life. And it's a positive thing. And so, yes.
I was thinking without this treatment, I wouldn't even be able to be in this position right now.
That's right. You're absolutely correct. Without your treatment, you wouldn't be able to stand up and be in that position right now. That's a very, very true statement. Veronica is saying that's a heavy discussion in front of a child. I know Anna is intelligent, but it's concerning. I don't know why you're concerned. You can clearly see she's not concerned. I'm not concerned. I know my child very well, and we've had many discussions over the course of her lifetime. So she's very well versed in her condition. She could tell you all about it. I don't even have to, but it's easier because she wasn't born yet for me to talk about this point in her life. So no need to be concerned. She is great. And this is really wonderful information for other people to have. I'm going to share on my screen the picture of Anna when she was born. Thank you, Terry, for the super sticker. So you can see what her body looked like at birth. So again, going through the pregnancy, they tell the moms to move around and get, they want them to exercise, and they want them to get caffeine and do whatever they can to keep the baby moving in utero. And unfortunately, that's about all you can really do. They can do, thank you, Linda, for the super sticker. They can do, the amniocentesis and all of the typical tests that they do in pregnancy to check for other conditions, to try and figure out ahead of time if it's a genetic form of arthrogryposis. But if it's type A myoplasma like Anna has, it's not genetic. And so they can't tell. And all you can really do is wait and see what the outcome is at birth. And this was the outcome at birth. A beautiful, beautiful little child with clubbed wrists and club feet and knees stuck in flexion and little arms stuck straight and a little frog belly. And, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Karen, so much. This is the worst that Anna's body could ever be. Thank you, Tracy. And what I mean by that is when AMCers are born, their condition is the worst it's ever going to be. Arthrogryposis is not a degenerative condition. It doesn't get worse over time. It only has the potential to get better through treatment and therapy and surgeries.
Or stay the same.
Or stay the
Depending on
same.
what you do.
Correct. Thank you, Michael. She was adorable at birth. She's been adorable her whole life. Who are we kidding? But yeah, she was born with her arms stuck straight and her legs stuck bent, and you can see her left foot was almost turned upside down and her wrists were clubbed, and she wasn't in pain, and it didn't really affect too much of what we did when she was an infant. You were still able to care for her just the same way, change her diapers, feed her bottles, put her clothes on and off. You learn very quickly how to adapt to the limbs being a little bit different. So, but going back a little bit, back into pregnancy, someone had asked if because of their limbs being, do you want to sit now? No, you're good. Because of their limbs being so stiff at birth, we always talk about how the limbs are stiff and stuck. Do they need to do C-sections? And the answer is yes. Typically, they will go the route of doing a cesarean, and they usually do it about a week early because, as you can imagine, a vaginal birth could potentially be traumatic for both mom and baby. There could be breakages, there could be things, just getting stuck. So in the case of arthrogryposis, it's much safer for them to go the route of the C-section. So that is pretty accurate, I believe, unless somehow they don't know, which does happen. That does happen. They sometimes they miss it on the ultrasound, and it doesn't get diagnosed until after birth. So some kiddos do come out naturally and they make it and it works out. But if they know, they typically like to do it ahead of time by C-section. Anna was a C-section. What else?
Thanks, Tina.
Trying to think of what else did we want to talk about with. So they say it happens between 8 and 11 weeks gestation. That's when the limbs and the joints are really forming. And so what happens is there's an issue with the formation of the limbs and the joints. There's no movement, and so these calcifications form over the joints that prevent movement. And so then the baby is growing in utero with this lack of movement. Normally babies are hitting and kicking and moving their arms and legs all around, and they're building some muscles. But in the case of arthrogryposis, they can't do that because these calcifications have formed over the parts that are supposed to move. Thank you so much, Cindy, for the super sticker. Thank you, Tina K. And so what happens during the rest of growth is that because the limbs are stuck, the muscles don't form properly. The muscles and the tendons and all the things that grow over the top of the limbs, they also don't form properly. If there's no movement, there's no reason to form a muscle. And so many AMCers are born with a serious lack of muscle, complete lack of muscle tissue. And if they do have muscle tissue, it's very weak. And I have been told by the doctors that the muscle tissue they do have, thank you, Gail, is made of a more fibrous tissue. So it doesn't bulk up and build muscle mass the way most muscles do, or the way typical muscles do. So AMCers cannot just lift weights as they grow older and all of a sudden have a huge bicep. Like they might get some muscle. They might get a little bit of muscle, but it's not going to be like, and that's why a lot of times when you see adult AMCers, you'll notice that their arms and legs are very skinny. We have a lot of people who aren't familiar with our family and don't understand arthrogryposis show up on our videos and say, why are you starving that poor girl? Because Anna is so skinny in her arms, and it's because of lack of muscle. It's because her arms are literally bone with some
So enough muscle.
What
to
do you got
move.
in there?
It's enough muscle to move.
It is.
But
What do you have? Some tendons, some
Yeah.
ligaments, some muscle sheath that doesn't. There's no
muscle tissue.
But as you guys know, if you've been following our page, none of this is a predetermining factor of quality of life. She has been able to figure out how to do pretty much everything. Thank you, Donna. She figures it out. Obviously she can't carry things that are heavy around. And Stacy says they haven't seen that girl eat. Yeah, she can put away some food. There are things that she cannot do. And that is just a fact of life, right? There are certain things that just can't happen. But there are so many things. What do you want to say?
I was just going to say that a lot of people have been saying, like, I love your dress, I love your hair. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So many things can happen and have happened and will continue to happen. And so, I would say if you are a mom who has just had a child diagnosed in utero and you're, you don't know what to expect, just join the moms group, because honestly, those are the experts you want to be talking to, the moms of other AMCers. They're the ones who will tell you straight what it is and how it's going to work. And, it's hard. It's going to be hard, but it's not what I don't want to use a bad term. Like it's not a sentence for a miserable life. It's really not. And so many AMCers have just this amazing quality about them, this natural ability to be determined and positive. And so you will get through it. You'll figure it out every step of the way. You'll do the things that need to be done to get your child the best therapy and the best treatment. And they can, in many cases, absolutely walk and get to the point of being a very physically functional little human. I think that's about it for today. We want to keep these short. I just wanted to talk about pregnancy and how individuals are born with arthrogryposis. There's so many things that can cause it. They don't know. It's very difficult to pinpoint exactly what it is. There are over 450 different types of arthrogryposis, and many of them are genetic. And the genetic ones, they typically have a better idea of the potential cause. But type A myoplasia, which is the most common one, is not genetic. It's an environmentally caused. And it's not like, oh, the parent was doing something wrong and that caused it. It's not like that at all. It can be low amniotic fluid. It can be an illness early in pregnancy, like the flu. It can be multiples crowding, and then maybe you lose the other multiple, or you have multiples and one has arthrogryposis and the other one doesn't. It can be a bacteria. It can be so many things that can potentially cause arthrogryposis in utero. It's definitely most likely not anything you've done if you are a mom carrying. Please know that. And there's no rhyme or reason. And personally, I've never really been that worried about why. We just said, okay, this is what is. And so we need to move forward and figure out how to best care for her and give her the best quality of life. And so that's what I have tried to do. And we will talk about that more in future live streams over the course of this month. We're going to go live every day, right?
Yep.
So tomorrow will be Anna's turn to talk again. We'll talk about some of her earliest memories and what she what she remembers from early treatments and therapies, and we'll talk about the things that they did in the first year of life.
And you guys get to ask us questions.
Yes, and if you have questions or things you want to see her do, leave them in the comments, and we will look for those, and we will make some short videos this month to answer them. And please join us again tomorrow. Thank you so much.